What's going on, everybody? So today is the video I've been trying to film for a very long time. I have a product here, and it's kind of a product that I've been looking forward to getting a hold of. Not specifically this piece of equipment, but the type of product and the capabilities that it delivers is something I've been looking forward to having in my arsenal of equipment. So Phenyx Pro sent out an audio mixer, and it is a 6-channel audio mixer, has 4 1/4-inch inputs that double as Xlr inputs, and they all supply phantom power. The other 2 1/4-inch inputs double as a USB input, so there's like a little button on the top where you can push it, and it could either be the 1/4-inch or it could be the USB, or it could be Bluetooth, which means you can sync your Bluetooth phone or computer or audio device to where you can play music through the audio mixer as well, which is pretty cool. But there's one gripe I had right at the beginning, was that there's no 1/4-inch outputs. But there's XLR outputs, which is what I've been looking forward to having for a good while, because that means I can use it with a cinema camera, and using it with cinema cameras means I can use it for bigger things as well as smaller things, but not necessarily a lot of smaller things, because not having the 1/4-inch output kind of limits the smaller scale of things I can use it with. But with that being said, I still want to figure out how to use it with the Canon T7i, which is what I'm filming on right now. I know this is kind of an awkward setting, but I wanted to find a space that was as quiet as possible so I can get a really good sound test, because I want to try out a few mics with the mixer. So right now, the audio you're hearing me on is the Sennheiser Mkh 8060. This is roughly a mic that's about $1,000 to $1,500. This is a shotgun condenser mic that you would typically put on a boom pole for like TV shows, or maybe music videos, or the kind of shots where you really want to get audio of a group of people talking together that, but you don't want to have the mic right up on them. I can actually push it a little further back and you would still be able to hear me whisper. I can go. You'd probably hear that. You'd crank it up and you'd hear it very well. Of course, you'd hear my ambience, but you would still hear me very clearly and not just my ambience, So that mic is really good. But this thing isn't about the Sennheiser Mkh 8060. I also have the Shure Sm58 plugged in, so I'm going to switch over to that right now. I have the mixer sitting here on the desk. Okay, so here I have the Shure Sm58. Yes, I'm holding it because I don't want to turn around to the desk and talk into it. I'd rather, kind of be more personal. I do have another mic sitting next to me, and it is the Shure Sm58. I might go ahead and try that out as well. It is plugged into channel 3. It doesn't need phantom power, just like the Shure SM7B doesn't need phantom power. If I did want to add phantom power to the SM7B, I would connect like a FET head or a cloud lifter or something similar. But right now I'm using it as it is. I have the gain kind of cranked up and the volume cranked up so that it can get as plenty of power as possible. But I did notice that it didn't have to crank the gain up as loud as possible. I do have the audio feeding into the Atomos Ninja, and I also have it going into the Comica CVM AX3, which is also feeding into the T7i. At one point, I was going to have the audio going from the Ninja, just recording the video and audio into the Ninja from the T7i. And I thought, well, why not do both? So the Atomos Ninja is activated by a video input signal. So I hooked up the 1200D to the Atomos Ninja, and then I took the headphone jack out, 1/4-inch out on the headphone jack on the Phenyx Pro audio mixer into the Atomos Ninja, so that I can get some audio out of that port into the Ninja. And then I also did it for the Xlr output on the main into the CVM AX3 audio interface from Comica that goes into the Canon T7i, so that I can get audio that way as well. And I'm going to compare the two mean, if they both sound good, then it's not going to be a big deal. But if the Ninja sounds better, I'm going to use that audio, and then I'm going to just put at the bottom that I'm using the Atomos Ninja audio over the audio that's going directly into the T7i, because there are some differences between how these two will hook up and interface together. But that's where the downside comes in with only having Xlr output instead of having quarter inch out. The limitations start arising. There's ways to work around it, but there are some limitations when working with equipment that doesn't take such connections. But this piece of equipment is actually pretty dope. It is called the PRX 600, if I didn't mention before. Sorry about that. 6-channel input and Bluetooth interface. It does have USB. You can plug it into your computer, supposedly. I've tried to plug it into the PC with USB Type-C and USB-A because I do have a USB Type-C port on my PC. Didn't really recognize it the way I thought, and then I plugged it into my MacBook, and it picked it up, but it only picked it up. No, it didn't. It didn't recognize it on the MacBook. It recognized it on the MacBook after I synced it to Bluetooth, and it was only recognized as an output. So, yeah, that was a little weird because they did say that it would function connected to the PC. But anyways, over the time that I've been using this thing, I've jumped through hurdles to try to figure out all the different ways to make it work. Plugging it directly into the T7i was not a good idea. All I got was interference, so that's why I used the Comic interface, audio interface, as a bridge between the T7i and the PRX 600. But anyways, I'm going to switch over to the SM58 to see how this sounds. Okay, so I'm on the SM58. The SM58 actually sounds pretty good. I actually noticed that my battery is dying, so I am going to have to get off this pretty soon. This T7i battery burns pretty fast while recording. I have been recording for 10 minutes, though, so yeah, there's that. But anyways, suffice it to say, the Phenyx Pro PRX 600 is a phenomenal audio mixer. 4 Xlr doubled as quarter-inch inputs, and so they all have separate 48 volts of phantom power activation buttons. And so if I need phantom power for just one mic, which would be the Sennheiser mic, is the only one right now that needs phantom power, I have that one activated, and the other ones aren't activated. And say if I want a quarter-inch input, I can just put the quarter-inch in. I can have other Xlr mics put in, and then I can have that one phantom power mic in and activate it. And then if I want to, if one of the mics is just pushing too hard and it's just loud and just bringing it down, the volume down doesn't come down enough, I can actually bring it down to -20. So like right now, if I talk and I hit this button right on the side of the gain, and it just drops it a -20 dB. So I just hit that button and it dropped it a -20 dB automatically. Like I said, the only gripe I had was that it doesn't have quarter-inch output for the main as well as the Xlr output. Everything else, great, sounds good. I like the way it works. I like that it has Bluetooth. I'm going to see if I can switch over to some Bluetooth right now. I do have to switch over to that. Let's see if I can play a little music. See if I can get this going before this battery cuts out on me. Okay, so there you go. That's what's playing right now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm liking this. I like that I can sync Bluetooth up to it, and I have Xlr out, because that means I can go ahead and stick it into my cinema camera. Sorry I didn't use the cinema camera for this test, but I really need to know how well it works with devices that are lesser than something that's $5,000. See, like a microphone like the SM58 is $100. So typically you're gonna be using microphones that might be $100, $200 at most. You're not always going to have like a Shure Sm7B that's $400, or a Sennheiser Mkh 8060 that's $1,500, or a $5,000 cinema camera, $8,000 cinema camera. You're not going to have stuff like that. all the time to use with something like this. So that's where the little gripe I have about not having XLR, about only having XLR out for the main and only having the 1/4 inch out for the headphone jack, and then not having 1/4 inch out for the main. That's where that's where that piece kind of bothers me, because I'm just like, man, it's like, that means I have to have extra pieces. Now, if they would have supplied like a little adapter for, putting in the XLR port and then having it, adapt to being a 1/4 inch out, I'd have been fine. But it's not a deal breaker. It's actually really cool because that's what I wanted. I wanted XLR out to where I could put into something like a cinema camera or other devices that need that kind of extra, power for that, that kind of audio interface and stuff like that. Because when you start going into like higher end stuff, you need that kind of interface. You don't want to use 3.5 or 1/8 or just 1/4 inch. But 1/4 inch isn't bad. 1/4 inch is like the middle ground between the 1/8 and XLR, and you really need to have 1/4 inch in your workflow. But anyways, besides all that, I give this thing 5 stars, and I will refer to anybody. Being that you can use the headphone out, it's still very viable. It's just that when you output that headphone out into something, you do need to have a headphone jack in the other device that you're outputting into, so that you can make sure the audio is good and you can balance out the audio in that device itself, so that you're not like, okay, I don't know what that sounds like, nor do I know what it sounds like coming off the board either. So that's where that is like frustrating, because if you had headphone out right there and then you had the 1/4 inch main out, you'd be able to just hear what's coming out of it, and you go, okay, I know what's coming out of it, and so you know what's going in, and the only thing you need to do is maybe grab some headphones for your other equipment and go, oh, okay, that sounds good, okay, I'm good, that's it. But I guess same difference in a way. But anyways, thank you guys for dropping by, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.